There's a real battle going on the beach here. Must be more than 100 migrants.
An incredible amount of security for Mr. Yunus. The people elated he has finally arrived in Bangladesh.
We've just heard what sounded like some grenades from the Israeli army, and now you can hear the sirens are going off, telling us to get out of the area.
27 years since we have witnessed a moment like this. Labour winning from opposition.
People are picking up mud, throwing it at the king. The depth of anger here, the fury is just extraordinary to see.
We're so close to North Korea. The border is just there behind us, and there is no fencing whatsoever.
This is an extraordinary political comeback. The former president and now future president has overcome a brush with death.
This is the main road between Beirut and the south of the country. Thousands of people trying to go back home.
Now, BBC News reflects on significant events for the British royal family in 2024, the Royal Year.
A year like no other. First the King, then the Princess of Wales, diagnosed with cancer.
This, of course, came as a huge shock. And William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family.
Good man, this one.
Prince William called it the hardest year of his life, supporting his wife and family while flying the flag for Britain abroad. Honouring the fallen on the beaches of Normandy, 80 years on from D-Day. And Harry, the party prince, back in the UK. Last Christmas, there was nothing to suggest that 2024 would be a royal year dominated by illness. But 3 weeks later, first, a palace statement that the Princess of Wales had had planned abdominal surgery the previous day, and the following hour, it was announced the King was to undergo a procedure for an enlarged prostate. By the time the King left hospital after a 3-night stay,
How are you feeling?
health groups were reporting a significant increase in men getting their own prostates checked. The King seemed in good spirits, but the news was about to take a dramatic turn.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to BBC News, where in the last few moments we've received breaking news from Buckingham Palace, which has announced that the King has been diagnosed with cancer.
The news that just 9 months after his coronation, the King had cancer made headlines around the world. He and the Queen departed London for the peace and solitude of Sandringham in Norfolk. Before they left, after a dash from California, there was a 45-minute face-to-face meeting with Prince Harry, their first for months. Prince William now had a sick father and a wife recovering from major surgery.
Your Royal Highness, how grateful are you for the public support you've received in recent weeks?
We really appreciate everyone's kind messages, thank you.
Events such as this gala in support of the air ambulance were carried out alone.
I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you also for the kind messages of support for Catherine and for my father, especially in recent days. It means a great deal to us all. It's fair to say the past few weeks have had a rather medical focus, so I thought I'd come to an air ambulance function to get away from it all.
The Prime Minister, Your Majesty.
Good evening, Your Majesty. Very nice to see you. And wonderful. Yeah. Well, yeah, a bit, but wonderful. Wonderful to see you looking so well.
Yeah, well, it's all done by mirrors.
Over the following weeks into spring, the message from the palace was that the King was continuing to work as his cancer was treated. But of the Princess of Wales, who was now recuperating at home in Windsor, there was no update, leading to a frenzy of unfounded speculation online. On Mother's Day, a photo was released by the palace which major picture agencies refused to syndicate because it had been edited. It turned out by the princess. She later apologised for any confusion. And then more breaking news.
At 6, the Princess of Wales has just announced that she is undergoing treatment for cancer. Here now is a very personal message from her, which has just been released, in which she explains what has been happening in recent weeks.
This, of course, came as a huge shock. And William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay.
While Catherine and her family left Windsor for Norfolk, the King made his first major public appearance on Easter Sunday at St George's Chapel.
I hope you haven't got too cold, Danny.
Despite the chilly weather, he clearly enjoyed having face-to-face contact again with the public. After such a difficult few months, this was a welcome return of the King.
Very brave to stand out here in the cold with
Queen Elizabeth used to talk about having to be seen to be believed, and so it's hard to overstate the concern in terms of the visibility of the royal family, with two of its key figures having to severely curtail their public appearances. The personal strain on the family, but especially on Prince William and the Queen, will have been immense, but the work had to carry on.
Whoa, what a nice group. He's a good man, this one.
It's little wonder the Foreign Office were keen to involve Prince William on a trip to France.
Hello, everybody. It's doing a fantastic job. Thank you.
The President-elect, Donald Trump, seemed delighted to spend time talking with the Prince of Wales. This was soft power in action.
Hey, how are you?
Back in the UK, during the year, the Prince returned to check on the progress at the 6 locations he'd chosen for homewards.
Because you think a lot of people just think, give people a house and it's sort of fixed.
His ambitious project to tackle homelessness.
Homelessness is a complex societal issue and one that touches the lives of far too many people in our society. However, I truly believe that it can be ended.
And on a sunny trip to Cornwall in May, as well as some beach volleyball, he visited a site on Duchy of Cornwall land, which will be used to build 24 homes with wraparound care, specifically for people who would otherwise be homeless. November, and in South Africa, the green carpet was rolled out for the Earthshot Awards ceremony. Its founder, Prince William, in a sustainable blazer and biodegradable trainers.
These are the game changers, these are the innovators, these are the inventors that are going to make the world a better place for us in the future.
What about at home, your own environmental strategies at home? What can you tell us?
Yeah, well, every family tries to do what they can to sort of help with the environment, and we go through all the basics of recycling and making sure we minimise water use and turning off lights when you leave the house and stuff like that, and making sure we're just sensible with what we do around the environment. And I think every family has those conversations, and you're just trying to do what you can. The Earthshot Prize has got to be a bit more global than that. We're trying to do big-scale ambition and big-scale business to tackle some of the solutions. But I brought the children along on that journey, and tonight I hope they're watching and they're proud of kind of what we're trying to do here, which is to really galvanise that energy and that enthusiasm to make real impacts.
I just asked about the pupper bracelet. Are you wearing it?
Yeah, I've got it on
look at
today,
it.
yeah. It's there.
Can you tell us about it?
Well, this is I think a relic, if you like, from a Taylor Swift concert that my daughter decided that she wanted to create a bracelet for, and she gave it to me when I came away. So I promised I'd wear it and try not to lose it while I was out here.
I can't have you here. Our audiences would want to know how your wife is. It's been a tough year for you. How is the princess?
She's doing really well, thanks, and hopefully she's watching tonight and sort of cheering me on. But no, she's been amazing this whole year, and I know she'll be really keen to see it tonight be a success.
The Earthshot for cleaner air goes to Gaio, Green Africa Youth Organisation.
5 winners were given £1 million each to put their sustainable ideas into action.
We'll do everything we can to support them and help speed their solutions to scale. Because when they succeed, we all succeed.
Afterwards, meeting with the winners, who now not only have the funds to realise their ideas, but also have the backing of a prince. With the King undergoing treatment and out of the public eye, the Queen had to get used to arriving without him by her side at major engagements. This was Commonwealth Day, and although he wasn't there in person, the King did record a message of thanks.
In recent weeks, I have been most deeply touched by your wonderfully kind and thoughtful good wishes for my health, and in return, can only continue to serve you to the best of my ability throughout the Commonwealth.
It has been a busy year for the remaining working members of the royal family, not least Princess Anne, who was called upon to help cover royal events in the absence of the King and Catherine.
A bigger one?
However, in June, Anne was herself forced to take a break from royal duties. She had been on a walk on her Gloucestershire estate when she was injured by a horse. Suffering with concussion, she was taken to hospital.
How's your wife, sir? She doing well?
Recovering slowly.
Thank you very much.
And had regular visits there from her husband, Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence. Few were surprised when the Princess, often dubbed the hardest working royal, was back on duty within 3 weeks, bruised but otherwise well.
There were no royal tell-all books, interviews or documentaries by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex this year. Prince Harry's cases against newspaper groups here do continue, as does his case against the Home Office over changes to his security arrangements whilst he's in the UK. He was here briefly when his father's cancer diagnosis was made public, and then he returned in May to attend a Thanksgiving service celebrating 10 years of the Invictus Games.
Cheers for the Prince, who arrived at St Paul's Cathedral alone as guest of honour at the service celebrating the sporting event he established to help the military community. No members of the royal family were present, but there was a hug for his aunt and uncle on his mother's side, Lady Jane Fellows and Earl Spencer. In the congregation, many of those who've benefited from the Games. What they mean to Prince Harry was clear. Before leaving the UK, he had time to party. Harry has kept close contact with a small number of UK charities, including Scotty's Little Soldiers.
3, 2, 1, go!
Which helps children who've lost a parent who served in the military. He briefly stopped playing to have a quick word with the BBC's Daniela Ralph.
What Scotty's is doing with these kids is absolutely incredible and very needed as well. And the more opportunity we get to do these kind of events, the more that families and kids around up and down the country actually know that Scotty's exists, which is really the most important thing.
Nice to be back in the UK.
That's great.
Nice to see you.
Relaxed and having fun, this was a side of him which has rarely been seen in public over the last few years. The next stop, meeting up with the Duchess in Nigeria. This was a 3-day visit, which had all the trappings of a traditional royal tour.
We have got to acknowledge those amazing dance moves.
Just know that mental health affects every single person in the entire world.
It was a glimpse into what the Sussexes could be doing on behalf of the royal family. Were they still working royals? Prince Andrew stepped back as a working royal 5 years ago now, but has continued to appear at family events. This was Easter in Windsor. However, the latest crisis, involving his personal connection to an alleged Chinese spy, Yang Tengbo, led the palace to make it known the family hoped he would honourably withdraw from family events. So unlike previous years, this was Christmas in 2023, he is spending the festive period at home in Windsor rather than at Sandringham. A further distancing of the king from his younger brother.
After that first walkabout for the King on Easter Sunday here in Windsor, the palace were keen to stress this wasn't a return to a full schedule of engagements. But as the months went on, it became clear the king did want to get back out as much as possible, at least as much as the Queen and his doctors would allow.
It seemed appropriate that the King's first engagement in April was to a leading cancer hospital in central London. Staff and patients packed the entrance hall to see him. This was a visit with a difference. The King could not only empathise with the patients,
you get side effects, it's not too bad. This is one.
he was one of them. Over the following months, the King increased his visibility. There were 2 state visits, here hosting the Emperor and Empress of Japan in June. The following month, and the state opening of Parliament, where the King outlined the policies of the new government.
My Lords and members of the House of Commons, my government will govern in service to the country.
Another Parliament, this time an outdoor one in Jersey. With the weather, a roof may have helped.
God save the King.
This truly is an historic place. Jersey has one of the oldest connections to the Crown.
The expo was a chance to learn more about the Channel Islands, with a couple of Jersey cows clearly unaware they were in the presence of royalty. In November, it was the King who attended engagements alone. It was later revealed the Queen had pneumonia. Here, meeting the cast of Gladiator 2, including Denzel Washington.
You've been in so many films. It's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you.
Your Highness.
Why not?
And he was very happy to give New Zealand's women's rugby team a hug. Although the King looked to be enjoying being back at work, there had to be adaptations to his schedule to reflect his health.
There was an anniversary this year which required a significant royal presence. 80 years since the largest seaborne invasion in history, D-Day.
Setting sail to France, as they had as young men in 1944. The commemorations were all about the surviving veterans and those who never made it home. The 5th of June, the eve of D-Day. Those who were able gathered in Portsmouth along with VIP guests and the King and Queen.
Field Marshal Montgomery, Commander-in-Chief of the Allied Ground Forces, wrote in his message to all soldiers on the eve of D-Day, "To us is given the honour of striking a blow for freedom which will live in history, and in the better days that lie ahead, men will speak with pride of our doings."
Younger generations celebrated and thanked those who'd fought for their freedoms, including the future King. Sunrise on the beaches of Normandy on June the 6th. "80 years on, Royal Marines waded ashore just as their predecessors had.
It is all because of Gummy's quick thinking.
At the British Normandy Memorial, the commemorations put the veterans centre stage. The King and Queen and President Macron were placed a few rows back. Honouring those who fought in the name of his grandfather, the King spoke of remembrance as an obligation.
Let us commit to carrying forward their resounding message of courage and resilience in the pursuit of freedom, tempered by the duty of responsibilities to others, for the benefit of younger generations. Our gratitude is unfailing and our admiration eternal.
A spectacular finish at this most picturesque and poignant of locations.
When the King's cancer diagnosis was made public at the beginning of the year, the future seemed very uncertain, with all plans subject to medical advice. The palace was unable to confirm whether a trip to Australia and Samoa for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, planned for the autumn, would in fact be able to go ahead.
But on a very rainy October evening, the King, his cancer treatment paused, and the Queen touched down in Sydney. The famous Opera House was lit up with images of the couple and of previous visits to Australia, when royal tours were perhaps less politically sensitive than they sometimes are now. After a rest day, there was a church service and a chance to meet some of the locals.
G'day, mate. How are you?
From Sydney to Canberra, a traditional First Nation welcome in the Great Hall of Parliament House. Front and centre, the Indigenous peoples.
In my many visits to Australia, I have witnessed the courage and hope that have guided the nation's long and sometimes difficult journey towards reconciliation. Throughout my life, Australia's First Nations peoples have done me the great honour of sharing so generously their stories and cultures. I can only say how much my own experience has been shaped and strengthened by such traditional wisdom.
As the King finished, shouts of "You are not our King." This was Aboriginal Senator Lydia Thorpe. Protests were not unexpected, and this was condemned by some Aboriginal elders. The palace offered no comment, but instead focused on what they called the warmth of the reception from the thousands of people and an alpaca who turned out to greet the couple. No trip to Australia would have been complete without a barbecue in the sunshine. Both the King and Queen seemed quite at home cooking the local produce. For their final appearance back in Sydney, the biggest crowd so far.
Welcome, Charles. Welcome.
The King seemed to be in his element. This was goodbye to Australia. Next stop, a warm welcome in Samoa for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, or CHOGM as it's known. The King is the organisation's head, and this was a gathering of prime ministers and presidents. Some of those present wanted to push for compensation for the impact of slavery. It was an issue the King made a nod to in his opening address.
None of us can change the past, but we can commit with all our hearts to learning its lessons and to finding creative ways to right inequalities that endure.
Those working closely with the King said the tour to Australia and Samoa had lifted his spirits, his mood and his recovery, describing it as the perfect tonic.
The Princess of Wales' return to public life has been carefully managed throughout the year. She has, after all, been recovering from surgery and undergoing preventative chemotherapy. Her first major public appearance was here for Trooping the Colour, the annual gathering of the royal family.
June, and the moment many people had waited for. Catherine, along with her children, well enough to attend the King's birthday parade. In July, she took Princess Charlotte to the Wimbledon men's final and received a standing ovation. And then, in September, a very personal and visually striking health update.
Doing what I can to stay cancer-free is now my focus. Although I have finished chemotherapy, my path to healing and full recovery is long, and I must continue to take each day as it comes. I am, however, looking forward to being back at work and undertaking a few more public engagements in the coming months when I can.
But you don't have anything in that car, do you?
And the first of those was to Southport, where she and Prince William met with families of the children killed and injured, and those who helped in the aftermath of the attack. In December, the family attended Catherine's carol concert at Westminster Abbey. This has now become an annual event. The theme this year was empathy and kindness, supporting others through challenging times, with particular personal resonance after this year.
This year was going to be the year that I've just had. The unplanned. The unplanned, exactly. Yeah.
It has been a difficult year for the royal family, but one which ends with the princess looking forward to increasing her public engagements. And boosted by their trip to Australia, more long-haul travel is being planned for the King and Queen. 2025 will mark 80 years since the end of the Second World War, and although health will continue to dictate their schedules, it is hoped the steady return to normal royal service will continue.